Last year I built a few different types of structures to grow tomatoes and beans and things like that up, and some of them were not so successful. One was until it collapsed. This is my experimental hyperbolic paraboloid, and on it I grew some cucumber and some tomato. The tomato was self-seeded, it just came up, it was a cherry tomato, and it really enjoyed climbing on this, as did the cucumber. It's quite an unusual shape, but it worked really well. And unfortunately, we had a big storm recently and it's blown it over. So I'm going to build another one and make it stronger and a little bit larger. And it'll just fit this triangular shaped piece of garden here nicely. But first, I've got to clear it out. A hyperbolic paraboloid is a double curved surface that's also doubly ruled. They are constructed easily using straight structural members. They are lightweight and efficient, using minimal materials and increasing structural performance. And I also think they look really cool. Now that I've got that cleared away, I've got some tools, I've got some materials that I need to build my structure, and I'll be getting into it and just sort of getting a feel for where I'm going to place it and how I'm going to build it. As I said, I want to make this one a little bit bigger than the last one, but I've got to check my stock because I've got some fresh cuts of bamboo poles, got some recycled pieces, and I've just got to make sure that they're long enough. So I'll start by driving some stakes into the ground to anchor it. This time I'll make the base beams a little bit higher off the ground so it makes it easier to weed around and work around underneath them. The bamboo stakes I'm using are from the base of the bamboo, so this is where the pole is its strongest. And in some of them there's no hole at all, it's just solid bamboo. I use self-tapping lag screws to secure the bamboo poles to the stakes. Yesterday I encountered a bit of a problem with my bamboo poles, so I've had to cut a whole bunch of new ones. The ones that I'd recycled, that I'd been trying to use, were just a little bit too short. I decided joining them or trying to join them wasn't a good option, so I went down and cut some longer pieces. So these will be stronger and they'll look nicer on my hyperbolic paraboloid trellis for my tomatoes and cucumbers and beans and whatever else might climb up them. I've chosen to tie them this time with twine. In the past I'd used wire and twisted it, but I find it's a bit of a nuisance in the garden. The twine's easier to use, it's easy to replace, and it's also more eco-friendly. When I cut it I can just drop it on the ground and it will compost into the garden. Whereas if I'm using wire, you get little bits of twisted wire and they're difficult to keep and horrible to leave on the ground. And at first I tie my poles to the base just quite loosely to hold them in place, and then tie them to the uprights, and then I go back to tighten the base. I'm placing 6 bamboo poles along each side, and I've measured the distance of these to keep them nice and uniform. So there it is, another hyperbolic paraboloid for my tomatoes, beans, cucumbers, whatever else I need a trellis for it to grow up, and it's a little bit more interesting than a regular garden trellis. It is quite a piece of engineering or science or art, or maybe a combination of all of them. It just adds a little bit more interest to our garden. And a quick tip while I'm working with bamboo, I have discovered that this tool here, which is designed for cutting PVC pipe, is absolutely great for cutting bamboo when you don't want to use a saw or anything like that. I need to buy a new one. This one's a bit knackered, it's a bit broken, but it just, especially for smaller pieces, it just cuts them so easy. I'd wanted to keep these lengths long enough so I could make sure they were going to be easy enough to tie on, and if I had to cut it by hand with a saw, it was going to shake it too much, so this tool worked a treat. If you'd like to know more about what we do with bamboo in our garden, both growing it and building with it, check out this playlist here. And if you've tried building a hyperbolic paraboloid in your garden, I'd love to know about it. Leave us a comment below. Thanks for watching.